Have you ever had a night where everything seems calm and safe, only for it to spiral into a nightmare you can't escape? Imagine a peaceful evening, quickly unraveling into terror that grips you so tightly you can't think straight. When I was 21, I took a night shift security job at a rundown community center on the outskirts of town. The place was ancient, with peeling paint and narrow hallways that seemed to stretch into oblivion. It was a job meant to be straightforward: patrol the building, lock up, and make sure nothing went awry. But on that night, the mundane became a living nightmare. The community center had a basement that most people avoided. It was an oppressive space, filled with old furniture draped in dusty sheets, and broken equipment shoved into forgotten corners. The basement had a reputation. Rumors of strange noises and eerie sightings circulated among the staff. I thought it was just talk, until that night. My supervisor, Greg, left early, handing me the night's checklist, and reminding me to check the basement before closing up. As he left, he joked about the basement being haunted, but his laugh didn't reach his eyes. I didn't think much of it. I was used to working alone, and the night was quiet. Almost too quiet. The basement lights flickered dimly as I descended the stairs, casting elongated shadows that danced and shifted. I made my way to the storage room, where I needed to sort through some old files. As I worked, I noticed a heavy, dark sheet covering a large object in the corner. It was out of place. The dust on it was disturbed, and it seemed as though something or someone had recently been underneath it. Shaking off the creeping sense of dread, I pulled the sheet aside, revealing an old mannequin draped in cobwebs. Its lifeless eyes seemed to follow me as I moved. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination playing tricks, but as I turned to leave, I heard a rustling sound coming from a nearby room. Heart pounding, I texted Greg. "Something weird is happening in the basement." The sheet over the mannequin moved. His reply was quick but unhelpful. "What do you mean? There shouldn't be anyone there." Before I could respond, a loud, shattering crash echoed through the basement. I spun around, the sound coming from the direction of the old gymnasium. I sprinted towards the noise, but the hallway was eerily silent. The old gym was dark, and the only light came from the flickering emergency exit signs. I noticed a large, shadowy figure moving in the dim light. It was the silhouette of a person, but something was terribly off. In a fit of terror, I raced back to the basement. As I reached the stairs, I felt a cold breeze and heard the unmistakable sound of shuffling footsteps behind me. I darted up the stairs and slammed the basement door shut, locking it with trembling hands. The basement door groaned under the weight of something trying to force its way out. I stumbled back to the main hall, my flashlight flickering erratically. As I walked, the lights went out completely, plunging the building into suffocating darkness. My phone buzzed with Greg's text, "Call the police." But before I could make the call, the ceiling above me began to creak and groan. The air vents rattled violently as if something or someone was crawling through them. I looked up in sheer horror. As the ceiling tiles began to crack and fall, something was moving above, pressing against the metal grates trying to break free. Panic surged through me. I fled to the main entrance, my heart racing. I threw the doors open and ran out into the cold night, not stopping until I was far from the center. I didn't look back, but I could feel the weight of whatever was left behind, pressing on my mind. The next day, I told Greg a half-truth, that I had heard strange noises and seen odd shadows, but nothing concrete. I wasn't about to admit the full extent of the terror I had witnessed. My last shift was a blur of anxiety, and I left the job behind, vowing never to return. The community center, with its dark, oppressive basement and its haunting echoes, became a place of nightmares. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that something still lurks in the shadows, waiting for the next unwitting soul to venture into its darkness. It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend retreat. I was alone at my friend's cabin, nestled deep within the dense woods, miles from the nearest neighbor. The cabin, a quaint wooden structure with a snug guest room, was supposed to be my refuge from the chaos of city life. But that night, it became a prison of terror. I meticulously checked and locked every window and door. Settling into bed, I expected a night of tranquility, but the silence outside was suffocating, almost as if the forest itself held its breath. To pass the time, I distracted myself with my phone, hoping to drift into a peaceful sleep. Then, piercing through the eerie stillness, came a sound that sent chills down my spine, a faint, repetitive hello drifting from the dark forest. My heart thudded violently in my chest. It was unmistakably a woman's voice, soft, yet unnervingly persistent. I crept to the window, my hands shaking uncontrollably. Through the glass, I saw her, an unsettling figure standing motionless in the shadows among the trees. Her face was obscured, but her eyes glowed eerily, cutting through the darkness like twin lanterns. Her smile grotesquely wide, stretching unnaturally as if it were carved into her face. A wave of cold fear crashed over me. What was she doing there? And why was she repeatedly saying hello, as if she were beckoning me into the abyss? I stumbled back from the window, my thoughts racing with paranoia and dread. I locked the window and drew the curtains tightly, but the feeling of impending doom clung to me. Desperate for reassurance, I texted my friends, trying to explain the nightmare outside. Their responses were sympathetic but helpless, miles away from the terror unfolding. Then, a new horror began. a relentless, brutal pounding on the cabin's door. Each bang was deafening, echoing through the empty space like a drumbeat of impending doom. My flashlight quivered in my trembling hand as I approached the door, each step a battle against the rising tide of fear. Through the frosted glass, I saw her shadow, pressing against the door with a malevolent persistence. Panic surged through me, primal and unrelenting. I slammed the door shut and fled upstairs, my breaths ragged and frantic. I locked myself in the attic, the darkness pressing in from all sides. The silence of the attic was oppressive, every creak and whisper magnified into an assault on my sanity. Time seemed to stretch into infinity. The night dragged on, each minute an eternity of fear and isolation. As dawn finally broke, I ventured downstairs, every step echoing through the haunted cabin. The woman was gone, but the cabin felt irrevocably tainted, as if her presence had left an indelible stain on its very essence. I called my friend, recounting the horrific events. They were alarmed and promised to contact the authorities. They also mentioned disturbing reports of a woman behaving erratically around isolated cabins in the area. The connection to those incidents sent a fresh wave of dread through me. What was once a sanctuary had become a place of nightmares, a dark reminder of a night when safety was but an illusion. The woman's haunting, hello, and her eerie presence had scarred my sense of security, leaving me with a chilling reminder that sometimes even the most peaceful places can harbor unspeakable horrors. I'm Alex, a freshman at Greenridge University, where the campus is a bit too close to some pretty sketchy areas. After breaking up with my high school girlfriend, I decided to give online dating another shot. I matched with a girl named Lily on an app called Bumble. Lily was a blonde junior at Greenridge, and we seemed to click instantly. We both had a passion for vintage films and obscure music. Our conversations were effortless, and we quickly set up a date. Lily asked me to meet her at a quaint cafe near the edge of campus, saying she'd pick me up from there. By 9 o'clock, I stood outside the cafe, nervously glancing at my phone. Lily had asked me to share my location, so I did. A few minutes later, a car approached and stopped right in front of me, but instead of Lily, an older man with a scruffy beard and a weathered face was behind the wheel. "Hey kid," he said, his voice gruff. "What are you doing standing out here alone?" I told him I was waiting for someone. He then asked if I was waiting for Lily. When I said yes, he claimed to be her uncle and offered me a ride to the cafe. I scrutinized him closely. He seemed too old to be her uncle, and something about his demeanor was off. "Why didn't Lily mention you'd be picking me up?" I asked, trying to sound casual but alert. The man mumbled something about wanting to ensure Lily's safety by meeting me first. That didn't sit right with me. I decided to walk away, hoping to avoid any trouble. The man called after me, his voice tinged with irritation. "Hey, where are you going?" I quickened my pace, glancing back to see if he was following. He drove off in the opposite direction, and I felt a brief moment of relief. But as I reached the corner of the block, I noticed a familiar car parked in the shadows with its lights off. My heart sank. The same car. I tried to be discreet as I peered through the tinted windows, but I couldn't see inside. My phone buzzed, and I saw a text from the number claiming to be Lily. "Why didn't you get in the car with my uncle?" My blood ran cold. Ignoring the message, I continued walking, my senses on high alert. When I reached an intersection, I turned and sprinted towards campus. The shadows seemed to stretch and shift around me, making every rustle and creak seem ominous. As I neared my dorm, I thought I heard footsteps echoing behind me. Suddenly, the man appeared from behind a row of parked cars, his face illuminated by a nearby streetlight. "Come back," he demanded, his voice harsh. "I'll take you to Lily." I dashed back to my dorm, bursting through the door and slamming it shut behind me. My roommate wasn't home, leaving me alone with my fear. As I lay in bed, my phone buzzed again. The message was chilling. "You think you're so smart? You're lucky you got away this time. I'd have done worse if I'd caught you." "I still have the text saved," I replied. "Thanks for the threat. I'm taking this to the police," and blocked the number. I plan to report the incident, hoping the authorities can help. This encounter turned a hopeful night into a haunting memory. It's a stark reminder of how quickly danger can lurk just around the corner. Stay vigilant out there. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.